and
Okay, we're
what
going to
that
record.
actually, okay, what that actually means and what it means for you. Because for each person, it should mean something completely different. It should mean something completely different. I mean, for the farmer, it has some symbolism for how you grow food. For the hiker, it has some symbolism for your closeness to the earth, and even a walker, and what it means that way. Naturalist, the naturalist. So, I mean, I realized there's a book. I would like to find out some more information about it and what it means and what it symbolizes, if you will. Either one, Amit, he's on, plus Chris, share with us, please.
Yeah.
Certainly, and thank you, Alton. And I share that sentiment. I think we are all naturalists, right? If you have a bird feeder out in the backyard, you're a naturalist. If you hike,
Yep.
you're a naturalist. If you sit in a green space,
Uh-huh.
you're a naturalist, and those spaces are very, very important to you. What We Naturalists is a social network. It's a platform, and it's designed to bring naturalists from around the world together. It's a place where you can share your own work. You can share your photos. You can also store your photos on We Naturalists, so it's easy to find them later on. You can get involved with projects. There are several projects. There's polls, there's forums. There's all sorts of things where you can get involved. For me, the most amazing thing has been the chance to meet and network with people from around the world. And there are so many wonderful projects that are going on in India, in Africa, in Indonesia, in Australia, that here in the United States we might not know about, but can benefit from that knowledge. And likewise, the projects that are going on in our own backyards, in our communities and things like that, the knowledge that we gain can actually benefit people from other places so that they can implement those types of projects. And that's what We Naturalists was built for. It was formed a year ago, so it's a year old on October 1st. And to celebrate its anniversary, the platform is hosting World People of Nature Day. And there are a bunch of world days, right? We have Earth Day in April, which celebrates the planet. We have many species days. I just celebrated, I work for the International Rhino Foundation, saving rhinos. So we just celebrated World Rhino Day on September 22nd. But there wasn't a day that actually celebrated people, the people that are actually making a difference here in the world, people like you. And so that's what Amit's decided he would do, is he would start a new day called a World People of Nature Day, and he's working with the United Nations to make it official. But unofficially, it launches October 1st, tomorrow. And there's a webinar. It's free to attend. It's actually free to register on We Naturalist as well. So I invite you to register and join the community and begin sharing your ideas and joining projects and trainings and all sorts of things. But the webinar is at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, and it's called Green Childhood. So what We Naturalists is doing is that they're giving out 6 awards for education, innovation, and storytelling. And then they've invited people to talk about how we start as a child learning about our world and nature and how we can impact that. And there have been a lot of examples of young people impacting nature. Greta Thunberg is probably the most widely recognized young person that's working in the field already. But there are kids around the world using YouTube, TikTok, and all the other social platforms in order to get engaged and help wildlife. And so we're celebrating them today and actually learning how we might foster that education, that relationship with nature, because they will be the ones that inherit a challenging world in the future, and they will likely be the ones that solve some of these hardest problems that are facing us today and into tomorrow. So that's going on. You're all invited. Brightside's audience, please join us for that webinar. Elton, I'd like to ask you, and what from your childhood do you remember that kind of impacted you from nature? And I'd be happy to share one of my own stories from when I was growing up as well.
Wow, that's a good question, Chris. Very good question. From my childhood, actually, the first day I remember going fishing, out in the great outdoors, I mean, because you're either going to be terrified or you're going to be excited. And I've got to say that I caught the excitement, bug, and that's what has, been a part of who I am, and being outdoors and the weather, whether it's sunny or rainy, long as it's not lightning and thundering. But that experience inspired me and gave me a sense of self, because I think you can't really come to know who you are unless you know nature and outdoors and God and that kind of thing. And when you do come to know those things, that's when you really get your own power, your own chi, your own chi, where you're like, ooh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so I'd love to hear what other people have to say about that, because I mean, where you get your chi from, your chi, your sense of self, so that's my answer. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from other people.
Come on.
Well, Elton, I live in a very rural area. In fact, I live on a farm. I don't farm. Somebody else uses my land for farming, because I'm not a farmer, because I was in the military all my life. But when I'm having an overwhelming day and it just feels like, I'm going to punch somebody, which happens a lot, I just go outside and I just sort of listen to the birds, and I see the deer down in the pasture, and I just kind of reconnect with God on that level, because you can't go in nature and not feel the presence of the Creator, because He created all that beauty for us. And so that kind of gets me recentered and refocused, and then I can go back to what I was doing. But I think that's a really precious gift that we often overlook, is just, God's creation all around us. Even if you're sitting in a park bench in the middle of a downtown, area, you'll hear the birds, you'll feel, the sunshine on your face and the wind, coming through the park, and you'll feel reconnected with God. So for me, it's just that being outside, like you described, is huge.
Okay.
Actually, Brian climbed the Mount Everest region and gave us a fabulous presentation. So Brian is really a naturopath. Brian, tell us about some of your quick experiences. Yeah.
I would like to, thanks. Speak about the natural world right in our backyard. Of course, we live in big cities. I live in Mumbai, where there are all skyscrapers, so you don't get much of green space. But we do have a very big nature park. It's called the Borivali Nature Park, and BNP, and it's very huge, actually, considering that it takes up almost half of, not probably half, but 1/3 of Mumbai Island, and it's kept that way. So you have quite a lot of wildlife. So whenever I feel like on a weekend, I would just go early morning and, trek through. I love trekking or hiking, and I would just hike up to some old caves are there, 2,000-year-old Buddhist caves. So it's very lovely, and you do see some wildlife. But because of the encroaching of human habitats into this wildlife area, there have been instances of leopards, coming into housing societies and creating a little of a problem and attacking people. So it becomes like a man-animal conflict, So this is unfortunate. And so that's how we have to create more satellite towns far away. So, and where people can, travel to, instead of getting into wildlife areas and encroaching their territory. So
I've been through Borivali, but I've never been to the park.
Okay.
So I mean, just a transport on train or car or something. But
yes,
didn't know that existed. Would love to see it.
It's huge. It goes right up, to the creek, and it's a very big area. It's marvelous. And I like the idea of what Chris said. He had some sort of a depository of photographs of nature. So I would like him to share that, whether it's accessible to us and whether we can also put up something on that, something on the, more idea on that. So because for people like with whom I associate with. We are a lot of trekkers and cyclists, and we like a lot of nature. So we, would like to draw from that. Yeah.
Yeah, Brian, the We Naturalist platform was actually founded by people that enjoy trekking and in particular, and they open the platform. It's not just for researchers or conservationists like myself or anything like that. It's also for tour guides and for people that enjoy. And so it's very a very grassroots, holistic kind of platform that is open to everyone that enjoys nature. And so you can find the people. Like for yourself, there might be another place that you want to trek to. I have colleagues in India because India holds 3,700 rhinos, greater one-horned rhinos in its
I
song.
didn't know that.
Yes.
My next question was going to be,
so I'm
how
always
are the
asking
rhinos
them for,
doing?
like, when I come over, where else should I go, right? Well, that's what this platform is there for too, is for me to explore out beyond what I know. And it's for anyone else that wants to take that exploration and that journey and that adventure as well.
I actually wanted to ask you that
Lovely.
question. How are the rhinos doing during COVID? We actually have a friend of ours, or actually one of our writers, who's actually in a tiger region in India. And he was trying to tell me all about how the tigers were doing in isolation. So how are the rhinos doing?
Well, the biggest threat to rhinos around the world is poaching. And in certain areas, particularly India, poaching has declined significantly because of community involvement with their treasured wildlife. And better involvement and coordination between forest officials and police officials and national military and government, because rhino horn is moved through criminal syndicates. It's not moved by a local person. It's moved by criminal syndicates. So you need that kind of cooperation, coordination. And India is really a model for that. In Africa, you mentioned the COVID. Well, borders have been closed. You can't move rhino horn to markets in Asia if borders are closed. So they've actually done well this year. Poaching was way down in 2020. It's starting to creep up in 2021 again as borders reopen. However, you've got the problem of economic losses. There's no tourism. If parks are closed, there's nobody coming in and paying for tours and eating and helping those local villagers with their shops and their restaurants and things like that. So it's it's a chicken and an egg. It's a balance, right? So we've got to do better on both fronts. But in general, most populations of rhinos are small but stable right now.
Wow, that's amazing. Well,
So
my
that's
little
a segment of what you do, Chris. It's
and put it in the chat. So everybody, please register for his event tomorrow if you can, and give support by attending. So yeah, over to you, Chris.
Yeah, that is what I do on a daily basis. Is I work with an organization that protects rhinos in the wild. So we work in 10 countries around the world. Africa, India, Nepal, as well as Indonesia, which has 2 species of rhinos as well. And I'm just going to grab the link while I'm talking. So if you see me